Hello everyone, I make this video to clarify some accusations that have been made to me about past issues. If you're curious why I didn't make this video earlier, it's because I initially believed the written document was sufficient. However, as it turned out to be lengthy, and many didn't read it, I decided to create this video to provide an easier to understand version. The intention of this video is that you can analyze both versions of the story and come to your own conclusions. I want to warn you that this video will be long, so I have decided to use an AI voice in English so you can understand me better. Thank you for your understanding and willingness. Clarifications regarding accusations against me, LoulouVZ. For some time now, there have been various accusations against me that I feel the need to clarify through this document. The accusations include some of my past issues, such as tracing drawings, mismanagement of an 18+ group, and omitting credits to collaborators. However, they also unfairly mix serious problems involving third parties, such as pedophilia, rape, deception, and harassment, linking them to me and claiming I have covered them up. Regarding the cases involving third parties, I want to make it clear that the accusations of covering up are entirely false. My relationship with these individuals, at most, is that of acquaintances. I do not endorse or support their actions in any way, and certainly would not hide their crimes. Therefore, this document will be divided into two sections, one directly addressing the issues related to me and another addressing the problems involving third parties. Current status. To make you feel a little more at ease, I want to assure you that all these cases have already been clarified privately with the individuals involved. The aforementioned issues were resolved privately with the parties involved in 2022. Appropriate measures were implemented to prevent the recurrence of these errors. Apologies were offered to the affected individuals. However, despite having already clarified the situations with those it concerns, the dissemination of misinformation about the topic has caused significant damage to my image. Therefore, I would appreciate it if you read both my document and the counterpart's document so that you can have a complete understanding of the situation. These are the main documents where I and third parties are accused. In the following, this document will separate the points that have to do directly with me, and those that have to do with third parties. If you wish to know more details about these facts, please contact the corresponding persons. Facts attributed to me personally. 1. Entry of minors to the +18 Facebook group. In July 2016, the group SPIC +18 was created, with the purpose of sharing NSFW drawings of the characters. At the beginning, the rules of this group were not clear enough about not admitting minors. It was simply thought that having the word +18 was enough to make it clear what it was about. Over time, the group strengthened its rules, putting the warning "No minors allowed." During those years, 2017, I asked some questions that caused some concern, such as an age poll. The purpose of this was to analyze the target audience, it was never to harass minors. In the result of that poll, 32.06% responded that they were minors. At that time, I did not take the issue seriously enough and did not eliminate them, because it is very difficult to check who are actually adults and minors, since all this would only be based on good faith. Nor would I have the right to ask them for their identity cards, since that would violate their privacy rights. Also, another post I made in 2017, which I regret very much, was commenting that people under 18 also watch porn, normalizing and making light of the situation back then. My way of expressing myself was foolish and careless. Today, I think completely differently from those years, and I am ashamed of how I behaved. I apologize for my behavior during that time. We must not forget also that there is a shared responsibility between the user, the content creator, and the parents of the minor. I, as the content creator, set the age of majority as the barrier to entry. The responsibility of the user is to decide on their own whether or not to enter the site, and finally, the responsibility of the parents is to monitor what kind of content their children see. Another important aspect is to emphasize that in this group there were never official +18 chats. All interaction between them occurred via private messages. On the other hand, my drawings were never directed to minors. At the time, I made a notice in SPIC fandom, the group for all ages, warning that all explicit content should be directed to the +18 groups in order to keep these contents separate. After some time, the decision was made to delete the +18 group I created, due to the large number of minors already joined and to avoid possible adult and minor interactions. The +18 Facebook group took a long time to delete, because to delete a group on Facebook you have to remove each member first before deleting the group, and with over 8,000 members it was extremely complex. We tried to automate it, but it was not easy at all. I am sorry if my attitude and comments at the time were inappropriate, I really regret it. On the other hand, I apologize if anyone felt offended or hurt. I will do my best to make sure this does not happen again. I am also considering other measures to separate as best I can any official SPIC material from adult content. While I have not created SPIC specifically for a children's audience, I must assume that the audience is very broad, so it behooves me to be more careful with the content. There is also another case where I am accused of having created NSFW channels in the Spanish-speaking SPIC fandom Discord group, saying that there were minors involved there accessing +18 content. First of all, that group was created by fans, and they gave me the role of admin. Even so, I was never in charge of that group, as I didn't create it. I was in charge of the English-speaking one. When I found out some time later that NSFW channels had been added, I immediately removed them to prevent minors from interacting with that content. Here is the evidence that the group was created by other people, and that they added the NSFW channels. 2. Entering a Japanese school. Indeed, in 2017 we entered a Japanese school. I entered with one friend out of the 4 of us, the other 2 did not participate, as they considered it wrong. We went in after their students left. In fact, if you see the video, the school is practically empty, except for some teachers and school workers. Our idea was to show what a school looked like on the inside, as we wanted to see if it really resembled how it was portrayed in the series. You can tell we were very excited and curious about it, but there was never any intention to harass minors. Nor does this count as breaking and entering, because there was never a door forced open, a gate jumped, or a window broken. The doors were wide open. Breaking and entering involves violence in front of the entrance. Fortunately, this did not escalate and we only received a scolding from a teacher. We also have to consider that the criminal law is exclusively territorial. And if this were indeed a crime, action would have been taken right there in Japan. However, we are sorry that we trespassed, as we disrespected a culture we love. This will never happen again. 3. Tracing. Years ago I traced a couple of drawings, mentioning the respective authors of the original drawing/styles. There was never any intention of fraud or commercialization with this, it was just done for fun. Even so, I decided to apologize to the authors, regardless of the fact that this was done years ago. Fortunately, there was no problem from them. Better to apologize late than never. 3. Credits to people who worked on the SPIC project. Another of the accusations that have been made to me has been about not giving credits to the people who have worked on the project, or to those who have designed some of the characters. It is true that at the beginning I uploaded content without giving all the corresponding credits. It was a big oversight of mine, and that is why the information was updated as soon as I realized it. Anyway, the author of each of the characters had already given me authorization to use them. As you can see in SPIC's official website, at the bottom of each character file, you can find the author of the original design of the character. The credits of the people I have worked with are also mentioned either at the end of a chapter of the comic or in separate publications. If I ever failed to mention a person I've worked with, I apologize. You can always talk to me to let me know if any information is missing. 5. Donations. In 2018, I made a video asking for voluntary donations oriented to people who liked my work and wanted to support with something, since the SPIC project does not generate enough income to be able to live from it, which would be my dream. But this had a series of problems. First, I made the video with a drawing of me with SPIC in a poverty situation, in a satirical way joking, but this resulted in a bad way of expressing the message, implying that I was in a real situation of poverty, which is not the case. What I wanted to express in the video was that I would like to live from my project, and if you want to support it, you can do it with donations. That's why a little coin for spicy. It was never intended to deceive you. That money would be to help pay for basic expenses like electricity, water, etc. The other problem was about a month later, I traveled to Japan and bought a high-end phone. However, these were credit purchases, which were later paid for by working on commissions, which is my full-time job. People thought those donations were intended for those luxuries. The donations I got within the month I was questioned was $55.38 in total. Attached is an image of my Patreon earnings at that time. From this we can infer that this is not enough for a ticket to Japan, nor for a smartphone. That $55.38 was invested in Spacey's project. And what was it spent on? On working materials for drawing. I take this opportunity to thank each of you for your selfless support to this project. Thank you very much. Even so, you may wonder then, why not instead of making that video, I simply opened commissions to pay my bills? That's what I've been doing all this time, but my idea with the donations and Patreon was to make my project self-sustainable so I could focus 100% on it, not always depending on the commissions, since both demand a lot of time, having as a consequence a slow progress. I am sorry for all the inconvenience this caused. There was never any intention to deceive you. 6. Case of the Dinosaur Guy. Years ago, a guy asked me to give my opinion about his comic. This was via DM, and the only thing I remember is to have commented to him that his story was something like typical of the 70s, referring to the series and anime of that era. If I remember correctly, the guy got annoyed with me and started throwing hate through posts, which is why I blocked him back then. Years later, along with the cancellation, I found out that he made a comic expressing what he experienced, saying that I had made fun of him and his work, something I personally would never do, and if so, I would like to have the proof of that chat, since unfortunately I couldn't find it. As a result of this, I decided to write him by mail and messages to apologize for having made him feel offended, and ask him what we talked about that time, since according to him I said very hurtful things, which I need real proof, and not a comic quoting what I supposedly said. Once I sent the messages, the guy didn't want to answer me, and on the contrary, he made more posts against me complaining and mocking, without giving any chance for dialogue. So given this, there is not much more I can do. 7. Do not respond to all messages. I'm sorry if I didn't see some of the messages you sent me, since I receive a lot of them every day and 90% of them go to the spam section. I always try to read them, but you will understand that the Spicy project and working on commissions demand a large part of my day, and when I have some extra time I try to read the messages. As there are too many and I answer as many as I can, it generates a big queue, which I practically can't control. In order not to create rumors that I ignore them, unfortunately I decided to close the messages. This way we will avoid misunderstandings. 8. Alleged animal abuse. Really? This really shocks me, because the person who said this took things completely out of context and told them in the worst way possible. In these videos it is shown that in reality no animal was ever harmed. 1. Give my dog vegetable meat. I gave my dog a meat burger and a lentil burger to try to see which he preferred. 2. Bathe my cat. It is well known that cats do not like to be bathed, obviously she is going to meow. 9. Problems with Spanish-speaking people. Gringos versus Latinos. Years ago I shared a meme I made comparing gringo clients with Latinos. Although it is known that the USA has a better economic situation than LATAM, I should not have laughed at the situation, for which I apologize. This will not come back to repeat. Block people who don't speak English. In my Spicy project streams, I have a rule where I ask that they only speak English in chats, since that is the universal language, and it allows more people from other countries to understand. If this rule is broken more than once, they are removed from the chat, regardless of whether it is Spanish, Chinese, Russian, etc. This has nothing to do with the fact that they are Latin. My origins are in the Spanish language, and I am immensely grateful to all the people there who support me. However, I hope you can understand that publishing content in English helps reach more people, and not just a certain language. Remember that my main content, which is the Spicy comic, is in both English and Spanish. 10. Possible misunderstanding regarding a commission. According to some rumors, I delivered a portrait commission to someone who paid for a full-body drawing. If this is true, I sincerely apologize for the mistake and want to clarify that there was never any intention to deceive. The person who requested the commission can reach out to me via email to resolve the issue. 11. Others. There are other reasons for minor accusations, such as my opinion about the designs of the movie How to Train Your Dragon, among other things that I don't think are worth going into. I have already apologized in its respective moment, but I am sorry if I made you feel bad for any comment or any action I did. On previous occasions I have tried to apologize, but sometimes I receive no response or have been blocked, which prevents a conversation. From the bottom of my heart, I am not looking to hurt people. I will do my best to make sure this does not happen again. Third-party events intending to involve me. It is important to note that it is not my place to discuss other people's problems. However, as I am being implicated in some way, I must address these situations. I have been accused in a defamatory and slanderous manner of covering up serious crimes such as pedophilia, abuse, grooming, rape, among others. I want to emphasize that these accusations are completely baseless. Regarding the cases and individuals involved, I will omit their names to avoid questioning anyone's reputation or engaging in defamation. My objective with this document is to clarify the facts without harming the people involved, whether they are victims or alleged perpetrators. Note: definition of cover-up. According to Article 17 of the Chilean Criminal Code, harboring refers to harboring, receiving or protecting a criminal from a crime he committed and only the criminal and the harborer know about it, without reporting it to the police or legal entities. Given the above, various social media sources involve me in unrelated events, using my name as a headline and attributing all responsibility to me. I have no involvement whatsoever, no possibility of preventing them, nor even confirming if they actually occurred. Case 1. Nude photos of minors. A couple of years ago, some members of SPY-C fandom shared via private chats, private photos of themselves and other members in the nude, some of whom were underage. These photos were shared among themselves without the consent of some of them. This makes up two crimes, which are disclosure of private information and child pornography, which can have serious consequences such as going to prison. I found out about this from some rumors, but today it is confirmed that it was true and I completely repudiate what happened. I am not in favor of sharing private photos, unless of minors. These photos were shared outside of my official platforms. Also, I have never created a +18 chat group, let alone cover up for the people who shared these photos. Therefore, this case does not count as my responsibility. Also, one of the people accused of sharing this material, let's call him the C guy, was never a mod in any of my groups, nor was he close to me. We only interacted in SPY-C fandom publicly via fan arts. Nothing beyond that. In any case, if more comes to light on this matter, I will make the appropriate statements in court because these are crimes that deserve to be punished. Case 2. Roleplay breakup. This was a discussion between two members of SPY-C fandom, between a boy and a girl through private messages. The girl decides to end the relationship of both fictional characters. What was the problem here? There were two problems. The boy took the situation to heart, making her feel bad, and on the other hand, the girl ended up canceling him for how he treated her. In this cancellation, she expresses that he emotionally harassed her and manipulated her to avoid breaking this ship. She also refers to me saying, "I'm sick of this injustice, and that artists like LoulouVZ cover for guys like him." It should be noted that I do not justify my friend's attitude, nor her attitude for resorting to a cancel, but here, as I explain, there was no cover-up, since the girl, by making the whole case public and sharing the screenshots, everyone is a witness, and there is no one hiding anything. I also did not hide my friend from a crime or something similar, everything was exposed. Another thing is that I threw a private call on Discord, along with the guy and other acquaintances. I referred to the girl in question as a little dead fly, referring to her being friendly in the group, to then talk bad about us. This was leaked from the call by an unknown caller and sent to the girl. This counts as a crime of invasion of privacy on the part of whoever did that, but for my part, saying dead fly is not a crime, it's just a minor insult. Anyway, I would like to apologize to the girl if she felt offended by my words. I am not looking to continue with this topic, but rather to close this cycle. Case 3, Rape Complaint. Years ago, specifically in 2019, we organized an event called Artist Meeting 2, an event held in an outdoor park with people of all ages, where friendship among artists was promoted. Many people participated in this event, among them, a guy called Jay, who volunteered to be part of the staff of this event. What is the problem here? That years later, 2021, a girl, V, reported this boy, Jay, to the police for an alleged rape. All this happened years after the meeting of artists in a completely different circumstance. This girl, V, took the opportunity to call off the guy in question and warn as many people as possible about the case. Among those people, she sent me a message on January 11, 2022, warning me of the danger that this guy was, a message which unfortunately reached my spam section in Messenger since I had not added her as a friend. It should be noted that I usually receive many messages daily, and a large part of these go directly to spam. I regret not having seen her message some time ago, as this girl thought I had ignored her on purpose, and worse, she thought I was covering up for the rapist in question, something completely far from the truth. As soon as I found out about the message on March 16th, I wrote to her apologizing for all it took to see it, and that I am deeply sorry for what she had to go through. I want to make it clear as a person that I totally repudiate any act of rape and abuse, as it is a traumatic experience that no person should have to live through. I hope with all my heart that justice will work properly in the face of these acts. Case 4, Drug Party by LoulouVZ. I have been accused of having drug parties. The only open meetings I have done are artist meetings. Outdoor meetings in parks, along with parents and people of all ages. The rumor says that we gave food with drugs to minors, which does not make any sense since the attendees themselves were in charge of bringing things for their own consumption, and I really do not know where they invented such slander. What I do know is that a friend of mine who was at one of those meetings said that she felt a little dizzy, and commented that she tasted alcohol in some donuts. They were supermarket donuts with a liquor scent, but not with real alcohol and much less drugs. I want to make it super clear that my events have never promoted the consumption of drugs and alcohol, since these events are family events. Case 5, People I have worked with. When working in a team, one has to deal with various aspects, including the professional quality of individuals versus their personal lives. Regarding their professional capabilities, I prioritize their quality. As for their personal lives, I ensure they are not involved in anything that breaks the law, but beyond that, I don't delve into their personal matters. The opinions and actions of the people I work with are solely their responsibility and do not necessarily reflect my way of thinking or the values of my projects. Sometimes, we may collaborate with individuals who think and act differently from us, but that doesn't mean we should immediately dismiss them. It's important to recognize their positive attributes and be willing to give them a chance. Conclusion. Regarding my past behavior, I would like to apologize for my immature and sarcastic attitude during those years. I sincerely never intended to harm anyone. On the other hand, I want to make it clear that I have not committed or participated in any of the alleged crimes of third parties in which I have been implicated. That's why I've been working to rectify my mistakes by offering apologies, seeking legal advice, taking responsible actions, and managing the groups that fall under my responsibility. This profession is demanding, and often I haven't had enough time to attend to all of you properly or take care of all the responsibilities that come with being an artist and communicator on social media. Because of this, I want to extend my most sincere apologies to anyone who may have felt offended or mistreated in any way by my actions or omissions. I assure you that I have been taking the necessary measures to prevent misunderstandings from happening again. I am well aware that no matter what I say, there will be people with malicious intentions who will continue to twist my words. Remember, things are proven with facts, not assumptions like I believe, I'm almost sure, most likely, and screenshots taken out of context. As a result of this situation, I have received threats to attack me at live events and to dox me, not to mention constant spam on my social media with insults and defamation. Please be aware that malicious accusations are abundant, and they will always try to take any word, fact, or action out of context. Be careful when reading what is being spread about me, and you will quickly notice when bad intentions masquerade as justice. If you have any questions about this, you can contact me at my email. I will always be open to a respectful dialogue. Finally, I want to thank you for reading this far. Infinite thanks to all those who support me and my projects. You are the most important to me. As both an artist and a person, we have been together for years, and we have grown and improved together. Therefore, I promise to give my best for your well-being, my work, and our communication. Thank you for your understanding and the continuous displays of affection you show me. I promise to strive to give my best. Actions taken. 1. I communicated with the people involved to apologize and try to clear things up. The two girls affected, A and V, agreed to dialogue, and although they did not forgive my mistakes, we were able to clarify that the serious allegations have to do with other people, not with me. The only one who did not agree to talk things over was R, who says I made fun of his work. I honestly don't remember saying anything offensive to him, and he also doesn't want to show any proof other than his own words. 2. I walked away from the people with the most serious allegations. I will be much more careful about who I interact with and relate to, both personally and professionally. 3. I closed groups that could cause conflicts, such as SPY C+18, to prevent minors and adults from having an instance to interact. 4. I will avoid giving public or controversial opinions. Today, I think very differently than I did 6 years ago. I used to speak without taking things seriously. 5. I am looking to improve as an artist and as a person. I know that many will not accept my apologies, but at least I am making it clear that I want to fix things. Thank you very much for making it this far. I hope you can understand my version of events and also analyze the other sides to draw your own conclusions. The links to the documents are available in the description. Thank you for your understanding, and have a great day.